Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. India's President Droupadi Murmu meets her Mauritanian counterpart, President Mohammed Ould Ghazouani. Also addresses Indian community in capital Nouakchott. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. EAM Jaishankar terms the SCO heads of government meet in Islamabad productive. Says SCO needs to be able to adapt at responding to challenges facing us in a turbulent world. Canadian media slams Trudeau over row with India. Hits out for allowing extremism against New Delhi to influence Canada's foreign policy without providing credible evidence. And Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky unveils a new victory plan aimed at ending the conflict, presents to the Ukrainian parliament. On the second leg of her three-nation tour of Africa, India's President Droupadi Murmu arrived in Mauritania on Wednesday. President Murmu attended a community reception event in Mauritania's capital, Nouakchott. Addressing the Indian diaspora, President Murmu spoke on the similarities between the cultures of India and Mauritania.
मॉरिटानिया के साथ हमारे संबंध सौहार्दपूर्ण और मैत्रीपूर्ण है। मुझे ये जानकर प्रसन्नता हो रही है कि मॉरिटानिया और भारत की संस्कृति में अनेक समानताएं हैं, जैसे कि पहनावा, विशेषकर महिलाओं के परिधान एक जैसा है, पूर्वजों के लिए सम्मान है, पारिवारिक संबंध मजबूत है, संयुक्त परिवार है, बच्चों को सामाजिक मूल्य सिखाया जाते हैं। मुझे जानकर प्रसन्नता हुई है कि मॉरिटानिया में भारत में बने फिल्में, टीवी धारावाहिक और भारतीय परिधान पसंद किए जाते हैं।
President Murmu also said that India can contribute to Mauritania's development journey through different areas like human resource development, infrastructure, construction and digital innovation.
बातचीत के दौरान मैं विभिन्न क्षेत्रों में दोनों देशों के लिए लाभकारी सहयोग को बढ़ाने की संभावनाओं के बारे में चर्चा करूंगी, जिसके लिए दोनों पक्षों को प्रयास करना है। भारत मानव संसाधन विकास, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, निर्माण, कृषि, स्वास्थ्य, शिक्षा, स्किल डेवलपमेंट और डिजिटल इनोवेशन के माध्यम से मॉरिटानिया की विकास यात्रा में योगदान दे सकता है।
Earlier, President Droupadi Murmu arrived in Nouakchott, the capital of Mauritania, on Wednesday. On her arrival, President Droupadi Murmu was received and greeted by President of Mauritania, Mohammed Ould Ghazouani, and was accorded a ceremonial welcome. President Murmu met with the President Ghazouani at Presidential Palace for bilateral talks. Foreign Minister of Mauritania also called on President Murmu. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. EAM Jaishankar said that terrorism, extremism and separatism are three evils which must be combated for honest conversation, trust and good neighborliness. Delivering India's national statement at SCO meeting in Islamabad in Pakistan, Jaishankar called for recognizing territorial integrity and sovereignty. Besides, India's foreign minister also listed 8 key takeaways from Indian perspective from the outcome document signed as SCO in Islamabad. Here is more.
India's External Affairs Minister Dr. EAM Jaishankar on Wednesday called terrorism, extremism and separatism as three evils which need to be combated for good neighborliness. Delivering India's national statement at the SCO Council of Heads of Government meeting in Islamabad, Pakistan, Jaishankar spoke on a number of issues, including the need for reform at the UNSC. India's External Affairs Minister said that the SCO's primary goal of combating terrorism, separatism, and extremism is even more crucial in current times. It requires honest conversation, trust, good neighborliness, and reaffirming commitment to SCO Charter. Jaishankar emphasized that cooperation must be based on mutual respect and sovereign equality, recognize territorial integrity and sovereignty, and be built on genuine partnerships, not unilateral agendas. Industrial cooperation can enhance competitiveness and expand labor markets. India's External Affairs Minister said that Indian initiatives and endeavors like DPI, Women-Led Development, ISA, CDRI, Mission Life, GBA, Yoga, Millets, International Big Cat Alliance, etc. hold strong relevance for the SCO. The SCO should lead, advocating that global institutions need to keep pace through reformed multilateralism to make UNSC more representative, inclusive, transparent, efficient, effective, democratic, and accountable. Besides, India made a positive and constructive contribution to the deliberations at SCO Council of Heads of Government in Islamabad, where 8 outcome documents were signed. The 8 key takeaways from the Indian perspective are: developing a dialogue on the idea of one Earth, one family, one future, outcomes of India's initiatives like SCO Startup Forum, Special Working Group, and Startups and Innovation and Traditional Medicine, welcomed by SCO members. DPI and digital inclusion becoming part of SCO cooperation framework. SCO taking inspiration from Mission Life and achieving UN SDGs. Enhancing global food security and nutrition through promoting use of climate-resilient and nutritious grains such as millets. Upholding fair and balanced connectivity projects in accordance with international law, the goals and principles of the UN Charter and SCO Charter. Re-emphasizing rules-based, non-discriminatory, open, fair, inclusive and transparent multilateral trading system with WTO at its core. Opposing protectionist actions, unilateral sanctions and trade restrictions that undermine the multilateral trading system and impede global sustainable development. Earlier, India's External Affairs Minister took a morning walk with the team from the High Commission of India in Pakistan and planted an Arjun sapling at High Commission in Pakistan under Ek Ped Maa Ke Naam campaign. Fuzail Ahmed's report for DD India.
The curtain raiser for the 7th session of the International Solar Alliance Assembly was hosted in capital New Delhi on Wednesday. Leaders from 120 member countries to attend the 7th session of the International Solar Alliance Assembly in New Delhi from November 3rd to 6th. DD India correspondent Tapas Bhattacharya with more inputs.
India will host the 7th session of the International Solar Alliance Assembly, a key moment in the global drive force towards a solar-powered future. From November 3rd to 6th, leaders from 120 countries, partner organizations and the private sector will convene at Bharat Mandapam in New Delhi to chart a course towards a sustainable solar-powered future.
Leaders from across the world will convert during the forthcoming 7th Assembly of ISA to promote the widespread adoption of the solar power.
India's Minister of New and Renewable Energy, Prahlad Joshi, highlighted ISA's evolution into a global platform and commended their remarkable progress in adopting solar energy.
I take this opportunity to call upon ISA members, signatories and prospective countries to unite on the third threefold agenda at the upcoming assembly. 1. Empowering the member countries to adopt the solar energy as the energy source of choice. Make energy access universal by supporting the solar entrepreneurs to scale up the local solutions. Mobilize the finance to speed up the solar deployment.
This year's assembly will bring together ministers, missions and key stakeholders to discuss how solar energy can improve energy access, boost security and accelerate the energy transition, especially in regions with limited power.
We believe that we harmonize and aggregate the demand for solar finance, for solar technologies, and therefore create the demand for research and development. We also enable the capacity that is needed in various countries to adopt solar energy. We have aggregated projects which we are preparing and enabling for about 9.5 gigawatts.
With India and France leading the way, the Assembly will focus on strategies to increase solar deployment across the world. It's time to unlock the power of the sun, shaping a brighter tomorrow for everyone. Tapas Bhattacharya's report for DD India.
Niti Aayog is all set to host the two-day second International Methanol Seminar and Expo 2024 from Thursday in New Delhi. Niti Aayog member Dr. V.K. Saraswat addressed a curtain-raiser press briefing on the upcoming seminar. In the briefing, Saraswat highlighted the importance of using methanol as a better alternative to conventional fuels.
सबसे अच्छी बात है कि मिथेनॉल जो है क्लाइमेट के कंट्रोल के लिए बहुत अच्छा है। क्यों अच्छा है? मैंने कि जैसे बताया, अगर कंपेयर टू डीजल, अगर मैं डीजल की एक गाड़ी चलाता हूँ और M100 की गाड़ी चलाता हूँ, तो आप सोचिए आपको कम से कम नहीं तो 50% रिडक्शन इन एमिशंस, एंड पर्टिकुलरली वो एमिशन जो कि हमारे लिए डेट्रीमेंटल है। जैसे दिल्ली शहर में हम सोचते हैं पार्टिकुलेट मैटर हमको बहुत ज़्यादा इफेक्ट करता है। नो पार्टिकुलेट मैटर, नो सल्फर, नो नॉक्स, केवल कार्बन मोनोऑक्साइड, कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड मिलेगा।
Union Cabinet, chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Wednesday, approved an additional installment of dearness allowance to central government employees and dearness relief to pensioners, representing an increase of 3% over existing rate of 50% of the basic pay pension to compensate against price rise.
कैबिनेट ने डीए और पेंशनर्स के लिए डीएनएस रिलीफ इसको 3% बढ़ाया है और टोटल 9,448 करोड़ एनुअली 9,448 करोड़ एनुअली हमारे सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट के एम्प्लॉयज़ के पे चेक में ऐड होगा।
India's Minister of Commerce and Industry Piyush Goyal addressed the valedictory session at the first Indian Foundation for Quality Management on Wednesday. Emphasizing Modi government's efforts to build a quality ecosystem in India, he urged industry stakeholders to actively participate in positioning brand India as a symbol of excellence, where products made in India are recognized globally for their high quality.
Until 2014, in India, we had only 14 quality control orders, only 14, covering about 106 products. In the last 10 years, we have expanded to 174 quality control orders, covering today's 732 products. A 7x growth or a 6x growth in 10 years to ensure that more and more people become aligned with better quality standards.
And still to come on DD India Live. Georgia reports record turnout as early voting begins in US battleground states. And 5-pact signed between Bharat 6G Alliance and various partners during 8th edition of India Mobile Congress in New Delhi.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. And early voting has started in US presidential elections. Former President Donald Trump versus Vice President Kamala Harris is in a tight race. The campaigning is in full swing for both candidates. Final polling is scheduled on 5th of November. DD India's Amrit Pal Singh sends us this report.
With just weeks left for November 5th, the day Americans vote to elect their new president, election campaigning here in the United States has reached a feverish pitch, with both candidates, Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, crisscrossing the country in a last-minute bid to woo the voter, often trading barbs, making personal attacks, making tall promises, in Kamala Harris's case, doling out last-minute sops to woo the voter. I'm here right now at the famed Golden Gate Bridge of San Francisco. I took a stroll across this bridge to interact with the Americans, to read their mind, to understand what they think, what matters most to them as they prepare to vote on that Super Tuesday. And this is what they had to say.
I think there's a few issues that really matter, but at the top of my mind is like the Democrats' response to Israel-Gaza. I think the ongoing humanitarian crisis has really soured my perspective of the Democrats, unfortunately. And I think that's difficult to imagine that like a Trump term would be worse given just like how much of a crisis the Middle East is in right now.
There's a greater issue in reproductive rights when it comes to the two electees. I was talking about how there is a big polarizing factor between red states and blue states, and in Florida right now there's a very difficult time in getting abortions. It doesn't matter how old you are and what your circumstances if you don't get it within.
With inflation skyrocketing and the cost of living crisis worsening in the United States, according to the latest Pew research, 81% of the Americans say that inflation and economy will be a key factor in deciding their vote.
The economy, expenses, the border.
What about the economy?
Everything's too expensive.
Okay.
It's going up. Bidenomics is not working.
I think to have education is a right. And it should not be a privilege. I mean, there are people that could be in my place right now that would probably do a lot more, but they can't afford it, so yeah.
The biggest issue really just has to do with the economy. One thing we've been seeing a lot in the markets recently is just food prices going up, but wages not matching that. So I think making sure wages are affordable for everybody, people can afford their food, people can sustain their families. I think that's a big issue that factors into my voting choices.
One of the more explosive issues in this election season has been the issue of immigration, one of Donald Trump's key favorites. He continues to vilify immigrants in his rallies and debates, calling them rapists and murderers, while Kamala Harris has taken a more nuanced position, calling for a border security bill.
Well, for me, it's our national security. I think especially in this era, the U.S. needs to take national security in a different degree than it has in the past 20 or 30 years. I want a party that has a clear and cogent path forward with our border in Mexico, as well as our whole immigration policy. I think there's tons of people, really talented people trying to get here legally, and I think if we were able to capture some of those people, it would be incredibly powerful for us. So anyone who's thinking strategically about our immigration advantage would be huge.
So you heard the Americans. Come November 5th, and we'll get to know what the Americans decide for themselves. But one thing is certain, this election is important for both candidates. On the one hand, Kamala Harris has set her sights on becoming the first female president of the United States. On the other hand, Donald Trump is attempting a feat only once achieved in US history, regaining White House after losing it. With cameraman Sanjay Jaina, this is Amritpal Singh for DD India in San Francisco.
On to latest on Russia-Ukraine offensive, as Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky unveiled his victory plan aimed at curtain downs on conflict. The plan has been vociferously dismissed by Kremlin, urging Kiev to sober up. This even when Russia claims to have taken down 2 more villages in eastern Ukraine. Amish of DD India gets us more.
As the Russia-Ukraine war approaches the 1,000-day mark, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has unveiled a new victory plan aimed at ending the conflict. This strategy, presented to the Ukrainian parliament on Wednesday, incorporates insights from Kiev's Western allies. On Thursday, he would present the plan to the European Union.
Для України це, безперечно, We Ukrainians, together with our partners, must change the circumstances so that the war ends regardless of what Putin wants. We must all change the circumstances so that Russia is forced to peace.
In response, Kremlin has stated that it's premature to offer a detailed commentary on Zelensky's proposal. However, they emphasized that Ukraine needs to sober up and recognize the futility of its current policies.
There has been talks for many weeks about some peace plan. Most likely this is the same American plan to fight with us till the last Ukrainian, which Zelensky has now camouflaged and called a peace plan. Looks like this is the case. There is no other plan out there.
Meanwhile, on the ground, reports indicate that Russian forces have captured 2 villages in the eastern Ukraine, marking a continued advance in the region. As the situation evolves, both military and diplomatic efforts are underway to address the ongoing crisis. With Amish Mahajan, Tanvi Taneja for DD India.
As tensions rise in the West Asia region, Britain and France have urgently convened a meeting at the United Nations Security Council to address the dire humanitarian crisis in Gaza. Consequently, Israeli military reported progress in delivering humanitarian supplies to northern Gaza with 50 trucks carrying essential items from Jordan. Amid these developments, Israel continues its military operations against Hezbollah in Lebanon and Hamas in Gaza, resulting in escalating violence and casualties.
As the West Asia region continues to remain on edge, Britain and France have called an urgent meeting at the United Nations Security Council to discuss the humanitarian situation in Gaza.
And Israel must take all possible steps to avoid civilian casualties, to allow aid into Gaza in much greater volume, and provide the UN and humanitarian partners the ability to operate effectively. Mr. Speaker, along with France, the UK will convene an urgent meeting of the UN Security Council to address this.
Wednesday also saw humanitarian aid heading to northern Gaza. Israeli military administrative unit Kogat-A released a video showing humanitarian aid headed to northern Gaza. The unit said there were 50 trucks with equipment including medical supplies and shelter equipment from Jordan. Earlier, the United States said the humanitarian situation must improve or Israel could face potential restrictions on U.S. military aid. Meanwhile, in the conflict zone, Israel continued its intense air and ground campaigns against Hezbollah in Lebanon and against Hamas in the Gaza Strip. Israeli Defense Forces launched an airstrike on Wednesday on the municipal headquarters in Nabatiyeh, a major town in South Lebanon, killing the mayor and at least 5 others. In retaliation, a barrage of around 30 rockets were identified crossing from Lebanon into Israel on Wednesday, with the majority of the projectiles intercepted by Israeli air defense systems. Dheeraj Das's report for DD India.
6G technology is 100 times faster than 5G. Are we moving much faster in the technology sector? 6G technology is the future and the connectivity is the buzzword, and an international symposium was organized at IMC 2024. 5 MOUs were also signed between Bharat 6G Alliance and various partners. DD India's Anil Thomas has the details.
Technology, media and telecommunication industry leaders from across the world converged in the India Mobile Congress to deliberate on the global 6G programs. The respective national strategies for 6G and focus areas will be discussed at length in the event.
We followed the world in thought. We marched with the world in 5G. But when we work with all of you together across the globe, it is our aspiration that in collaboration with you, we will lead the world in 6G.
India has achieved the fastest rollout of 5G networks globally. It now stands at the cusp of becoming the leading contributor to the 6G revolution.
We have brought the various forums and institutions that are working on 6G already to come for an open dialogue, and the intent is to see how we can promote an open collaborative research by which India's requirements are embedded into what their thinking is.
The International Symposium also saw 5 new Memorandum of Understanding signed taking the tally of overall MOUs signed by Bharat 6G Alliance to 8.
It's a very good step to have signed this MOU with the Bharat 6G Alliance, because it shows that we all work jointly towards the same objectives to achieve global standards, to achieve affordability, availability, ubiquitous connectivity, and also simplicity.
We have different liaisons with other organizations, and the Bharat 6G Alliance is the newest partner, and we are very much looking forward and try to shape industrial 6G and future together with Bharat 6G.
New cutting-edge research, key architectural principles and emerging technologies that will shape the 6G landscape in India and the world found a reference at the symposium.
Energy consumption is a big element of mobile networks, and we want to make with our use cases and application, we want to make the network, we want to make the planet more sustainable. But we have to get down with the level of energy that we are consuming.
The future promises to be seamless and will surely empower people at large with the advent of 6G. The technology also has the potential to bridge the urban-rural gap effectively. Anil Thomas report for DD India.
And in sports, Indian shooter Akhil Chauran bagged India's second medal at the ongoing ISSF Shooting World Cup Finals 2024 in New Delhi on Wednesday. Chauran won bronze medal in the 50-meter rifle 3-position men final. A seasoned pro now with ISSF medals at every level, Akhil Chauran had only the World Cup final missing from the bouquet, and he did it in style at Dr. Karni Singh shooting range, orchestrating a now familiar comeback in the final standing position from mid-table to bring cheer to the home fans. That's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.